had to give me the one most bestest 12 Doctor 1 part episode of his run, and no, you really can't have listened, that's cheating. You'd probably give me the Mommy on the Orient Express, or Oxygen, which sounds like communist propaganda, but okay. Haha, not going down that rabbit hole yet. Dun dun dun. Anyway, one of the best episodes of the series, partly because of the surrounding mystery we never really get answers to. I mean, we only get enough info to keep the Doctor alive from Foretold. So today I'm going to attempt to answer the two biggest questions left in the episode. Exactly who is, well, was Foretold, and mainly, who the hell is Gus? Oh, and by the way, spoilers for this episode, but duh. Okay, let's go. So, the first question, who's Foretold? And honestly, I think the answer to Gus's identity lies in this, as I mean, Gus seems to have some serious mommy issues. Bada boom, ching. Okay, so anyway, I believe that Gus was in fact a Time Lord, or rather a near-evolutionary predecessor to the Gallifreyans we see today. Why do I think this? Well, firstly, let's look at the killing method for Foretold. After the arbitrary 66 seconds you have to live, Foretold wraps his hands around your head, and well, poof, you're done. And does this remind you of anything? Because it seems a lot like the way other Time Lords use their mental powers.
I need to find out what they're looking for. There's only one way I can do that. Won't hurt a bit.
Fireplace man, you are inside my mind.
I'm gonna regret this. Okay, right, first, general background. You've got a target! Yes, 11th.
For example, the Doctor entering Madame de Pompadour's mind by gently placing his hands on her head, or 11 just headbutting information into you, which, can I just say, is probably one of the Doctor's powers that I would love the most. Like, Star Trek fans, Star Trek's better than Doctor Who, me, bang. Either they realise they're so wrong, or they get headbutted so hard they get knocked out. Either way, I'm benefiting society by getting rid of a Star Trek fanboy who actually thinks it's better than Doctor Who. And if you do happen to be a Star Trek fan, 1v1 me on Club Penguin Blood, I will destroy you. So, if Time Lords can get into other people's minds through telepathy, I'm sure there's nothing to stop them entering people's minds and just turning them off. Secondly, this ability with Foretold also possesses to drain the life of its victims, and yet again this is another ability both the Foretold and the Time Lords have in common. And if you don't believe me, just look at almost every single appearance of a Master where he's trying to kill someone or kill someone to take their life energy to extend his own life after he's used up all his regenerations. So with the Time Lords being the only humanoid species in the show with abilities that match those of the Foretold, they're a pretty solid bet for the species of the monster. However, going back to what I said earlier about me believing that it was not just any old Time Lord, but actually an evolutionary predecessor to the Time Lords you see on current Who today. And that is because I believe the Forgotten War the Foretold was forged in was in fact the first ever Time War. Now, to those who haven't spent afternoons poring over Doctor Who wikis, the first Time War isn't something I just pulled out of my arse. It was an extended universe war between the Gallifreyans and a vampiric-like species that was started when Vrassilon created a portal thingy in an experiment to another part of the universe where a bunch of creatures with vampiric powers lived. Now, note two things here. Firstly, the extended universe of Doctor Who is freaking amazing, and secondly, the fact that it wasn't Time Lords who thought it was Time War, but Gallifreyans, because at this point, Gallifreyans weren't masters of time, they had primitive time travel technology. They had primitive time travel technology, but they had no control of it, and their main strength as a species lied in their telepathy, which was used by Gallifreyan cults of women to rule over the planet for thousands of years. Extended universe, I would say weird, but it's pretty tame for a Doctor Who backstory. And furthermore, I believe that at this point in their species, Time Lords weren't able to regenerate, because they gained this ability through prolonged exposure to a time vortex, and they'd only just unlocked time travel at this point in their history. Hence, Foretold. He was the first experiment in regenerations. However, instead of having the ability to regenerate written in his DNA, he prolonged his life by siphoning energy from his enemies, much like a vampire. In fact, it's my belief that it was in this war that Foretold developed the ability to siphon off life using synthetic vampire tech based off real vampire anatomy, or from technology from these quote-unquote vampires had to extend their lives. I mean, Look at his description from a cover of a Doctor Who book, The Eternal War in Heaven. Quote, "So powerful were the bodies of these creatures, and so fiercely did they cling to life, that they were impossible to kill." End quote. Sound familiar?
Let's get it wrong with Time Lords. We take forever to die. Even if we're too injured to regenerate, every cell in our bodies keeps trying. Dying properly can take days.
So, I believe a foretold is a Time Lord warrior who was resurrected or experimented on in the hope of evening the playing field, but who also, succeeding or not, started progress towards Time Lord's genetic ability to leech energy and life of other species. And why 66 seconds, you ask? Well, first off, a foretold is more of an assassin than anything else. I mean, he clearly wasn't made as a mass-produced weapon. Where he picks off crew member by crew member is guerrilla-like warfare, and nothing we know about foretold is that it is, at least when we see it, more machine man or time man, depending on how much I've convinced you so far. It seems like foretold clearly isn't able of cognitive thought, such as tracking or even really moving obstacles. So instead, what it does is find where its given target will be in the next 66 seconds, and then he moves towards them accordingly. And how, you'd ask? Well, excuse me, but have you been listening? He's a proto-Time Lord, a Gallifreyan, and one of the Time Lords have had since their beginning in this universe. It's access to the untempered schism, the ability to see forward and backwards in time, but not, however, the ability to see anywhere in the universe at any current moment. So a foretold can't use Gallifreyan detect to find out where its target is at the exact moment, so it does the next best thing and learns where they're going to be. And why does it give him 6 seconds and not just one? Jesus Christ, this better be the last question. Well, it's more of a guess than solid proof, but I reckon he does it to instill a sense of fear in enemy soldiers, causing them to jeopardize fellow soldiers on their side, or the mission itself. Okay, so after this dark period in Gallifreyan history, it's my belief that a foretold gets hushed up like Warzone, and he stays happily with his little flag in a secure Gallifreyan army base until his planet needs him once again. And need him once again they will, when the prophesized end of Gallifrey comes to town, the hybrid. And Rathlon, in his suspicion of the Doctor, sends the hybrid to investigate the plausibility of Mee's theory of a hybrid being both the Doctor and Clara. He creates a test for the Doctor to see how far he's willing to go in order to save Clara, and a trap for Clara to ensure that the Doctor is willing to push himself to extremes to save her by gambling away his life, that she won't be able to ever reach the ruins of Gallifrey. So I can feel the rage building in the comments, so let me quickly bring in some evidence to support my claims. Firstly, this scene, that I actually can't find online anywhere, where Clara and the Doctor go off investigating on their own, and Clara meets a woman called Maisie, who wants to gloat over her grandma or something. Maisie asks Gus, who's currently under the guise of the ship's AI, to let them in, which Gus declines until Maisie smashes the lock with her shoe. A genuinely fun little scene, until you realise the line Clara speaks before the door opens. Okay, here goes, my best in Louise Coleman accent. "I have a friend called the Doctor who's good with locks," and then the door opens. And knowing Gus can hear everything they're saying on this scene, is it likely that the locks don't do shoe? Furthermore, after this scene, the broken door locks them in the room with the sarcophagus in the storage carriage, a carriage that just happens to be at the back of the train, aka as far away from the Doctor as possible. So what does this mean? Gus is just trying to separate the Doctor and companion because he's been watching the Doctor, and he knows how dangerous the two can be together, and yet he keeps her alive, even when she continues to talk to the Doctor on the phone, after Gus ordered her not to. But who does he punish? No, not Clara or the Doctor, but a bunch of innocent. He punishes the Doctor, not by killing Clara, which would make most logical sense, but instead just killing some innocent chefs who were just here to make the spaghetti. It's almost like he has bigger plans for her, and bigger plans he does, as evidence of second, Clara was a foretold's next victim, which I mean, who else would it be? Apart from the elderly woman and the people with PTSD, who all got oofed after Maisie, the Doctor and Clara would have been the most next damaged on the train, and well, with the emotional stress of knowing she was about to leave the Doctor. And if the Doctor wasn't on the list at all, he would definitely have gone before the third victim, who was considered weak because of his PTSD. And I mean, if that's the category, the Doctor automatically wins. The Doctor has all the PTSD. He's like the master of it. He is PTSD personified in a character. So Clara was next, and Gus knew that Clara would be fifth. Having given the Doctor enough time to get to grips with his foe, he then tested his hybrid theory by attacking Clara, seeing if the Doctor would be able to let her go. And did he? Well, he risked his life just to get a slightly better shot of saving Clara in the hope the adrenaline rush of near death would help him solve the case quicker, so I'd say no. But luckily the doctor beats Foretold at literally the last third of a second by surrendering to the ancient soldier, finally allowing him to end the war. Except, well, it was the last third of a second when the doctor mentioned this, and it's a bit convenient, don't you think? Unless, of course, it wasn't the doctor's surrender that saved him, but merely the surrender of his life that doomed Clara in Face the Raven. In other words, having proved his hypothesis that the hybrid was the Dr. Clara, Rassilon recalled his hitman, and in the same move inspired Clara to sacrifice her own life, having, as president, the ability to save us through unlimited access to a web of time and the untempered schism. And then, why didn't he warn the High Council not to let Clara onto the planet? Well, because like everyone else on the planet, they didn't like being brutally oppressed for some reason. Now, my final evidence the third, evidence 3, the re-evidencing, I'll stop, is how similar Foretold looks to this fly guy from Heaven Sent. Ba-da-boom, ching. Admittedly, you can't see much from this picture, however these two zombies look very alike because, well, they're zombies. If Foretold can siphon energy off its victims, why does it still physically age like that? It's weird. Unless it's a disguise to make the Doctor feel even more threatened, seeing a diet version of his worst nightmare. A nightmare the Time Lords know very well. So, in conclusion, Foretold is an ancient augmented Gallifreyan soldier from the First Time War, which was against freaking vampires, and is an attempt to even the battlefield for Gallifreyans without regeneration abilities. He was hushed up by Rassilon until called on again by Gus, aka Rassilon, or at least a loyal follower of Rassilon, who sent him to investigate the plausibility of the Doctor and Clara being a hybrid together, until Gus figured out this was indeed true, and setting a trap for Clara to kill her in Season 9, which should redeem Rassilon's character a bit, at least in certain parts of the fanbase's eyes. Thank you for sticking through all this. If you want more nerdy videos like this about Doctor Who and other topics, but mainly Doctor Who for the start of this month, because, oh my god, Series 11. Subscribe and go back in time to create a different account, and subscribe again at the same time to give me 2 subs at once, because I'm a first-yes bitch. I mean, I'm new on here and I'm passionate about video making. Anyway, thanks for watching, so in the description, and bye.